Buenos días, soy Nico. And today we're here for another wonderful week's worth of content. Well, yes, here's another Nico's quick chat. But before we get started, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for more exclusive videos, weekly live streams, and to be a part of the live streams every Thursday at 5:30 and 7 p.m. CDT, where we have a multifaceted panel with a varied topic depending on the week. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely tune in. Now, we don't usually do the normal spiel on Nico quick chats, but I just wanted to say, before you even sit down and think about trying that Popeyes Don Julio collaboration, baby, my stomach is tossing and turning. That grease, starch, and fat Popeyes want you to stay sick. But that's the secret. That's the real secret, Nico. I was going up and hollering for that sandwich, and I finally got a bite, and my stomach has been cramping for over a day. So much so that the Louisiana in me had to come out to complain about the food. And usually I only talk like that when I'm like with my family from Louisiana, my dad's side of the family. But I just had to come out and just have this conversation because my stomach is tossing and turning, and Popeyes is not giving me any kind of relief. But let's get on to the actual video. Today we're going to be talking about a man named Juman. He is a performer, a very beautiful man that I've seen pop up on my timeline before, but I see beautiful men pop up on my timeline all the time. I don't actually engage with them. But I saw this happening in real time because he came out to complain about a scenario that he particularly goes through as a masculine gay man. And before we get onto it, I do want to address my views on masculine gay men in the past, seeing as how they were a bit not fair. As in, whenever I would come online, I would talk about we need to normalize feminine men. We need to normalize not pushing back against men that have feminine traits, and I still believe in that. But in the process, I would actively invalidate like the masculine open gay man experience, seeing as how I used to equate it to DL men. Or when people would say, where's the masculine gay representation in media? I used to have a narrow-minded view and say, oh, well, you can just look at any straight man and feel some kind of camaraderie, because what you're essentially saying is you want a gay man on screen that doesn't share any feminine and or visibly gay qualities, and it's just a quote unquote guy that is not a part of the gay culture. And I now understand that masculine gay men do fit that archetype, as in they exist, but they don't necessarily navigate the world as an open gay man when they don't have to. Not in the sense that they are DL, but in the sense that they can blend in, they can pass. So I used to always just say, girl, just turn on the TV and there's your representation. But now with time, I understand, especially because I saw this scenario play out. So now let's get on to his actual story, where he was basically coming out and saying openly gay and feminine men would not understand what openly gay masculine men go through, seeing as how, as adults, when you navigate meeting new people, when you navigate making new friends, there's always the possibility that within a few weeks to months, once they start to pick up on the fact that you are indeed gay, no matter how masculine you are, they tend to switch up on you, which can throw you for a loop, because at this point you thought you were cool, you thought you made a new connection, and now they're acting weird with you because they feel like there's some underlying sexual tension. And that is something that I go through as an adult now, I'd say, because when we have these conversations, I'm always very upfront. I used to be a lot more feminine presenting physically in the past. I would wear mesh, I would wear more flamboyant colors. But nowadays, now that I am 6'2", I'm still fairly muscular. I dress more like trade now that I moved to New York, just because that's the style that most people tend to have, and it's very comfortable. Nico, I get to throw on a tank top and jeans and go about my day, and people are like, oh my God, you ate that. Trade fashion is very simplistic, and I appreciate it. But I've been in situations where people don't know where to categorize me, because whenever I meet people, I always have to tell them, YouTube for the most part is like my flamboyant side. I get to be more extra and theatric. That's the theater kid in me. But in person, I'm a lot more like monotone and just go with the flow. So most people just assume that I'm either metrosexual or that I'm bisexual. They clock it. But for the most part, it's rare that I meet somebody completely new and I get gay. And that's not a hype. That's not a, hoopla kind of situation, seeing as how I actively champion the LGBT community in the entirety of my career. But it's an experience that I understand. So when he was venting about this online, a lot of gay people were pushing back saying, oh, well, it's just the same. At the end of the day, we're all F words, and I don't understand why you think you're special. And he had to come out and say, that's invalidating my experience as a masculine gay man just because you can't fathom and or have experienced it. That's kind of like colorism in the sense that somebody talks about how they've been discriminated against because of their skin complexion and or their phenotype. You push back by saying, well, we're all black, so your experience is technically the same as everyone else, when it's not necessarily, seeing as how lighter skinned black people do get preferential treatment within the media, within the mainstream, within job, housing, etc. opportunities. So I understood where he was coming from with that as well, because he even came forward and said, I'm not saying that being gay is easier because you are immediately perceived as gay. I'm simply saying that it's a lot less stressful making new connections when someone automatically knows where to put you, and there is no real solution for that. Nico, I understand people will just say, well, why don't you just tell them immediately? Imagine shaking your hand with somebody and going, hi, my name is Nico. I'm bisexual. Hi, my name is Nico. I'm gay. Like, yes, you see that in TV specials, but that's not how life actually happens. Heck, even when we talk about like making gay friends, I don't walk up to people and go, hi, I'm Nico, I'm bisexual, and I'm a preferred top. That's kind of like what you're doing because you're just announcing your sexual preferences when you're just randomly meeting somebody who that may not be your dynamic with. So I understood that, and then it became another conversation of, oh, femininity pushed to the side, and he made a video where there can be some fault with it. So I'm going to play the video, and then I'll just get back to what I think.
Hypocrisy in the gay community, and I'm going to address it right here, right now. I just think it's really funny how if I was to come on here as a masculine presenting man and state that I don't like feminine energy in other men, like I've made exceptions in the past, yes, because some people just have it like that, but for the general population, I don't look for that, you know what I mean? I'm not attracted to that usually. If I was to say that publicly, and I have said that publicly, here come all of these feminine men who honestly I think are just upset that they don't fit the criteria, versus going to find somebody who does like that. They would rather attack me and try to persuade me into liking that, which is weird. But here they come telling me I'm upholding all these heteronormative ideologies. I have internalized homophobia that I need to heal through and blah, blah, blah. Notice how none of them are dating each other, though. I've never seen two feminine men dating each other. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so as we saw in the video, he basically came out, but as a masculine presenting gay man, he would get pushback and or try to be changed if he came out and outwardly said that he does not prefer feminine men and or feminine energy. And when it comes to announcing your preferences, I've always been one of those people that says, it's not necessary. Your preference is between you and the person and or the people that you are romantically and or sexually interlinked with. So coming online to tell people that you're not interested in a specific group doesn't necessarily do anything except put up a barrier around people that either found you attractive or might have found you attractive. And I understand that as well. You want to just get it out of the way, but once again, it's all about wording. And in this particular situation, I don't see how he said anything hyper negative. He said, I simply don't prefer someone who is feminine. And rather than accepting that, a lot of people would push back and say, okay, well, why do you feel this way? Why don't you want to be with a feminine person, and actively change his opinion? And I've seen that happen in real time. And I've always been one of those people that when we talk about feminine men getting overlooked, I always pose the question, are you also interested in feminine men? Because if you are actively avoiding dating somebody who presents as you, I can't pick up a pitchfork and like torch and then champion for you to go out to somebody who doesn't want someone that presents as you, because you're not accepting of the people that are like you. In this situation, I do once again feel like it's important that we don't need to specify what one enjoys, but when it comes down to the smaller details of someone enjoying certain qualities in their partner, I can't force them to like feminine men. Me personally, I love feminine men. The men that I date tend to also get mani-pedis with me. I've dated people with long hair, locks, curls. I've dated people that have done drag. I've dated people, I'm very open-minded when it comes to dating, seeing as how I like men and women, so traits I find attractive in women are also traits I can find attractive in men, and vice versa. But I've never found fault with somebody that says I am not into feminine presenting men, seeing as how, once again, personality wise, I'm very feminine presenting. Physically, I may come off as trade. I understand in this big ass Pizza Cat t-shirt, super masculine. But normally I'm very like flamboyant and or metrosexual, so I enjoy the feminine, but I'm not going to come online and harp on people that simply say I prefer this, but I'm still open to this, because that's what preferences are at the end of the day. People like to treat their preferences like a hard list. At that point, it's a demand. If you say I would never date a feminine man, I would never date this, I only want a masculine man, that is a demand, that is not a preference. He's actively saying, I've dated feminine men in the past. Some people just have that kind of energy where I just want to be with them and or nearby them. But when I'm normally looking around, I do prefer masculine energy. Some people do say preferring masculine energy in a partner is a feminine trait. But once again, he never said that he does not have feminine qualities. So when, to my understanding, before we close out, when masculine men say that they are masculine, that is not saying that they are absolved of any feminine trait possible. It's simply how they present in the world. And once again, this is me trying to come with an understanding, because if y'all have been on my channel, y'all know how I usually get with masculine men, but I'm trying to be more open-minded in the future with a lot of my stances. But now that we have all that out in the open, I want to hear your opinions down below. How do you feel about the masculine gay experience? Do you believe that it is complicated to navigate making new friends and connections as adults, where people perceive you as heterosexual, meanwhile you're gay, bisexual, etc., and they could possibly be homophobic? They will switch up on you, they will ghost you, etc. How do you feel about the feminine dating plight? Seeing as how he did make a point that I always bring up in my own videos. When feminine men hear somebody say that they prefer masculinity, and they get defensive rather than just saying, okay, cool, and cut their losses, and they begin to try to convince people as to why they should be open to dating feminine men when they themselves don't date feminine men. Because I've met femme times femme couples. I've met people that date other feminine men and they flourish. So it's not like it's unheard of, but on the mainstream, it is usually feminine men wanting a masculine partner, seeing as how they feel like that is the proper counterpart. I've heard many stories, I've heard many arguments, but I want to hear yours down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.